Welcome to Check This Out, podcast for kids.
And they're grown-ups, where we explore people, places, ponderings, and past moments from history that shape the world around us. My name is Amy Contreras.
And I'm Cece.
And I'm Ellie. Today we're going to learn about a woman who loved to paint flowers, landscapes, and beautiful scenes from the desert.
That's right, Cece. Today's episode is all about Georgia O'Keeffe, a trailblazing artist who changed the way we see the world through her art.
She's known from her big paintings of flowers and southwestern scenes.
She's kind of a big deal. Georgia O'Keeffe is one of the most significant artists of the 20th century. She's specifically remembered for her contribution to modern art and for breaking barriers in the art world, which had been historically dominated by men.
Let's start by looking back on her life.
Georgia O'Keeffe was born on November 15, 1887 in Wisconsin. She was one of 7 kids in her family. From a very young age, she loved drawing and painting.
I love painting and drawing because I get so good at it.
Well, maybe if you practice a lot, you'll be a famous artist someday, Cece. Georgia studied art at some of the best schools in the United States, like the Art Institute of Chicago and the Art Students League in New York.
Hey, we live in Chicago.
You are right, Ellie. And Cece, you've been to the Art Institute. Georgia was a really hardworking artist, but here's something that I personally found really inspiring. When she first started, she struggled a little bit with traditional art methods at first. She wanted her paintings to be bold and different, not like the typical art of her time.
She wanted to make her paintings big. And wait, I have a question. I love drawing and painting, but I was thinking that if Georgia O'Keeffe was a great drawer and she struggled, it's good to know what you love and work on, although it isn't perfect.
That's right, Cece. Yeah, artists don't have to be perfect, and Georgia teaches us that. She kept working really hard and trying to get better and better. So Cece, you're right. She made her paintings really big. But what else was special about her paintings?
Lots of bright colors.
That's right, Ellie. By the mid-1920s, Georgia O'Keeffe was recognized as one of America's most important and successful artists. And what's really interesting is that she was even known for her paintings of New York skyscrapers, as well as her unique, up-close, really gigantic pictures of flowers. Today, Georgia is often more remembered and famous for her huge paintings of flowers, like sunflowers and poppies.
She also painted the desert in New Mexico. Does anyone know what New Mexico is?
Oh, I know what New Mexico is. It's a state in the United States, down in the Southwest.
What does it look like?
It's a big desert state, and it's a place where she moved later in her life. There's even a museum in New Mexico dedicated to Georgia O'Keeffe. I've been there. It's in Santa Fe. Georgia's love for the deserts and wide open spaces is clear in her artwork. Her paintings of the land, the mountains, and the flowers made people see nature in a whole new way. She did a lot of very close-up paintings that made you feel like you're part of the nature.
She moved to New Mexico permanently in 1949. She was also one of the first women to have her own art studio. I go to a camp that's an art studio.
That's true, you do. Georgia O'Keeffe broke barriers for women artists and showed everyone that women could be bold and creative too, as well as successful at selling their art. Georgia was friends with a lot of other artists, and she was inspired by her relationship with famous photographers like Ansel Adams.
Did she have any relationships that helped her along the way?
She sure did, Cece. That's a great question. In fact, It was a good question. Georgia got married to a famous photographer named Alfred Stieglitz. He loved her art, and he helped her become even more famous. His support was very important in her career. Georgia O'Keeffe was also really good friends with the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright.
No, tell me about it later.
I'm going to tell you about it right now, Cece. In 1933, American architect Frank Lloyd Wright invited Georgia O'Keeffe to become the master artist at the newly formed Taliesin Fellowship near Spring Green, Wisconsin. "Looking for you," he wrote, "as the great American painter to join forces with me." While Georgia O'Keeffe was flattered by the offer, she ultimately turned him down. Frank Lloyd Wright's initial letter inviting her to work with him started a decades-long friendship that lasted until Frank Lloyd Wright died in 1959.
So why do you think she's so famous today?
Well, Georgia O'Keeffe made art that was different from everything else at the time. She's an important modernist artist. Modernism is a style of painting, and it's one that's closely associated with Georgia O'Keeffe's art. Her paintings were big, beautiful, and full of life. She showed that you could be bold and true to what inspires you.
I think it's cool that she painted what she felt inside.
Yeah, absolutely, Ellie. She believed that art should express your feelings and love for nature. Her paintings were like a window into the world. Big, bright, beautiful, full of energy. And part of her fame can also be tied to the work that her husband did in promoting and supporting her artwork.
What do you mean, Mama?
From 1916 to his death in 1946, her husband Alfred Stieglitz worked constantly to promote Georgia O'Keeffe and her art. Most art sellers in the 1910s didn't think that American art could stand up to or equal European art. And they didn't think women could create art equal to that produced by men. Her husband's support made a big difference for her career.
I wish I could see her paintings in a museum someday. Maybe when I'm a teenager or a grown-up or anything like that.
Me too, Cece. Many of her works are in museums around the world.
You can see Georgia O'Keeffe's work at a bunch of places.
Like the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is her main location, but also at other museums like the Milwaukee Art Museum, the Art Institute of Chicago, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. She also has art featured in museums all across the country.
She seems pretty important artist.
She was and still is. Did you know that people pay millions of dollars to buy her work? The most expensive Georgia O'Keeffe painting ever sold is Jimson Weed / White Flower No. 1, which went to auction for $44.4 million in 2014.
Someone paid $44 million for a painting?
Isn't that wild? I know. The price set a record for the most expensive work to be sold by a female artist at that time in 2014. And it was sold at Sotheby's to Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. But guess what, girls? Another female artist we love actually broke Georgia O'Keeffe's record for the most expensive painting sold by a female artist. Want to guess who it was?
Tell us. And it was Frida Kahlo?
Cece, you gave it away. Frida Kahlo later broke Georgia O'Keeffe's record when one of her paintings sold for $54 million in 2025.
Well, that means it's pretty expensive.
Now that we know Frida Kahlo broke Georgia O'Keeffe's record, Cece, what do you think?
I'm not surprised Frida Kahlo is amazing. I thought she was really cool.
I know. Georgia O'Keeffe is pretty cool too. And after spending years focusing on cityscapes, then flowers, and then the Santa Fe desert, Georgia O'Keeffe started painting aerial views or views from above of the clouds and sky. This shift happened when she was almost 73 years old.
She was still painting at 73?
Yes, Ellie. Even though she had some health problems and was having issues with her eyesight. She completed her last unassisted oil painting in 1972. Even after her eyesight started to fail, her will to create didn't slow down. And in 1977,
when she was 90,
she said, "I can see what I want to paint. The thing that makes you want to create is still there." Later in life, she was almost blind, but she asked for the help of several assistants to help her to continue creating art.
Georgia O'Keeffe died in Santa Fe on March 6, 1986, at the age of 98.
She lived a very full life. And Georgia O'Keeffe changed the world by helping to establish American modernism, paving the way for female artists, and influencing various art movements through her really personal and unique style. She made these large-scale abstract paintings of flowers, skulls, desert landscapes, city skyscapes that broke artistic conventions. And her perseverance in a male-dominated art world made her a role model for women all over the world. Georgia O'Keeffe's work also influenced contemporary art, and her legacy continues to inspire with its focus on things like the American landscape and abstraction.
And now, before we go, here's the poem we just made for you about Georgia O'Keeffe.
Georgia O'Keeffe, with colors so bold, painted flowers and deserts for others to behold.
Her modern art made people see beauty in nature and possibility.
She led a movement, bringing others along. She loved Santa Fe and the desert song.
She shared her work and inspired many. Georgia's art now worth a pretty penny.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks to our special guest, Ellie, for joining our episode all about American artist Georgia O'Keeffe. Don't forget to follow and review our podcast. It helps us bring you more stories about amazing people from history.
And be sure to come back next week,
because we're going to learn all about another amazing artist from history. Thanks for listening to another episode of Check This Out. Here at the Check This Out podcast, we know that there's a lot of information, and it can be overwhelming to find accurate information online. This podcast is a tool for you to help you do something called citing your sources. As you get older and do projects for school, you'll learn that certain types of websites or information sources like AI aren't verified or have evidence and documentation to back them up. On Check This Out, we use verified sources to build the stories you hear about. Verified sources are materials or information that have been confirmed for accuracy and credibility through an evaluation process. Our sources for this week's episode on Georgia O'Keeffe are the O'Keeffe Museum, biography.com, Christie's.com, themetmuseum.org, and Britannica.